majeshi kutoka Jubaland wamevamia Kenya, wako pale Mandera. Na hao viongozi ya Mandera hakuwa naongea mpaka nikaongea. Saa hii waziri wa usalama anasema ati lazima wafanye uchunguzi. Sasa uchunguzi gani na hiyo watu wamekuwa hapo mwezi mbili? Hata waziri wa usalama hana habari hii watu iko Kenya. So tunauliza senator wa Mandera, wewe hapana ongea ukiwa.
One group is overpowered, they relocate to Mandera town. As we have been saying for the last couple of days, the Jubaland forces have been pushed out of Bulhawa, that is the Somalia town, and they are operating from the Mandera side.
Ladies and gentlemen, if there is one thing that you all must agree as of right now is that the government of Kenya has pretended and assumed the Jubaland invasion in Mandera. Though the governor of Mandera together with the Senate of Mandera have joined hands in calling into action President William Ruto to order a military operation so that the Jubaland forces can be kicked out of Mandera, the president, together with the Cabinet Secretary of Interior and the Defense Cabinet Secretary, have all remained undermined from these calls. Now, as of today, the residents of Mandera have called upon President William Ruto, telling him that they saw him as a savior of the people of the Republic of Kenya and more so the people of Mandera when he executed or ordered an execution of an order that all ID vetting processes should be swept out. But now, it seems that they understand that President William Ruto did not do this for the sake of people of Mandera or the people of the Somalian heritage that reside in Kenya, but did this for the invasion of the Jubaland forces in Mandera. As I said earlier, the Jubaland president Ahmed Madobe has always been a close ally of President William Ruto together with the Cabinet Secretary of Health, Aden Duale. GACHAGUA speaking today called out and pointed fingers at President William Ruto for assuming an existing threat to the Kenyan sovereignty. Because right now, as we speak, the Jubaland forces are said, according to the people of Mandera, you know, the person that knows the problem is the person that is experiencing it. The people of Mandera town are telling the president that stray bullets are currently falling on the streets of Mandera town. Yet, the president and his cabinet secretary, Kipchumba Murkomen, says that there is no threat of Jubaland forces in Mandera. Another thing that tells you the president knows everything that is happening in Mandera is that a fighter from the Jubaland forces, a soldier in Mandera, was interviewed the other day, and the excuse they gave of them invading Mandera is that President William Ruto had accommodated them in Mandera, so they have no fear and they have no problem with the people of Mandera. Yes, we are all clear. These people are not fighting with the people of Mandera because the people of Mandera are not fighting back, but they are taking up their social amenities. They have taken up a school where they have turned it into a training ground. Now, what next? What next will the Jubaland forces do? Remember, the people of Mandera are being pushed out of their homes. Some of them are currently fleeing out of their country, Kenya, seeking refuge in Ethiopia. As one governor of Trans Nzoia, the former police commissioner, Governor George Natembeya, stated that when President William Ruto waived all the requirement for ID vettings in the areas of Mandera, Moyale, Wajir, and the rest of the porous border of Kenya and Somalia, the people started flooding Mandera. Somalian people started, the people from Jubaland started flooding the cities alongside the border of Kenya and Jubaland. So these people have actually acquired ID cards. Now, when the police ask them, are you Kenyans? They pull out their documentation revealing that they are Kenyan citizens. So you ask yourself, How are we going to arrest these people, or how are we going to take them to court? Yet they have identification cards labeling them as Kenyan citizens. And that is why President William Ruto is undermined to accept that he made a mistake of waiving the requirements for ID vetting along the Somalian border and in the northeastern part of Kenya. The president cannot accept a mistake, and that is where he goes wrong. And that is the reason why the president has failed, even after a lot of persuasion from the Mandera County governor and the Mandera County senator, telling the president it's upon time he sanction a military operation in Mandera. He fails to do so because he knows that these people, it is upon his orders that they are in the country. Not only that, it is believed that the president of Jubaland, Ahmed Madobe, has been conducting businesses. All the counterfeit or the contraband products that are brought in the country, through most of them are brought through the Somalian border. And these things are benefiting the president and most of the Somalian leaders that we have in the country. One of them named as a great beneficiary of these businesses conducted between the government of Kenya and Ahmed Madobe is none other than the Cabinet Secretary of Health, Aden Duale. Another thing that I shall remind you, President William Ruto is a man that is always after benefiting himself. Remember, when the RSF militia came in Kenya, the Sudanese militia, there was calls from the Sudan government to make sure that the Sudanese militia RSF does not hold meetings in Kenya and does not declare a parallel government in Kenya. But President William Ruto, having a close relationship with the RSF militia president or general Ahmedi, he went ahead to allow a meeting of the Sudanese militia to happen in Kenya. He assumed all the calls that were being made by the Sudanese real government or the federal government of Sudan. He assumed them because he was benefiting from the illegal gold smuggling that was being brought in by General Ahmedi to President William Ruto to sell. So President William Ruto knows what he is benefiting from the president of Jubaland, Ahmed Madobe. I told you earlier in the morning that when the president of Jubaland was being sworn in 2019, one Aden Duale, upon all things that had been, all the regulations that had been put forward by the federal government of Somalia under President Farmajo, refused to listen to the calls, and him together with other Somalian leaders in Kenya in 2019 took a plane direct to Kismayo Port, where they went ahead to attend the inauguration of the Jubaland president, Ahmed Madobe. So now you come to understand the reason why all these people are quiet while the people of Somalia are suffering under the hands and the invasion of a militia group. For now, that is one of the trading stories in Kenya. But one thing, you cannot refute anything that Rigathi Gachagua says right now, because everything Gachagua is telling us is coming to pass. Because Gachagua pointed out that the Jubaland forces had been in Mandera. They had started planning to bring in more forces 2 months ago. Before even the governor made it official, Gachagua had already pointed it out on a live television on Citizen TV. But the president assumes everything that is being said. What should we say? Is Kenyan sovereignty at stake? That is the question we should all be asking ourselves. For now, make sure you subscribe. This is the Kenyan Daily Report.